Listen to this. Young Thug really walked into one of Atlanta's most iconic jewelry spots, stacked up over $200,000 in chains, watches, and bracelets, and then casually walked right out without dropping a dime. And hold up, it wasn't like they stopped him or questioned it. They were all smiles. They posed for pictures with him, they let him rock the pieces in videos, they encouraged him to blast it all over social media. They moved like they were doing him a solid, like they were his day ones, like everything was love. Then out of nowhere, they flipped the script, hit him with a $365,000 lawsuit and tried to frame him like he was the scammer in front of everybody. But here's the part they didn't see coming. Young Thug pushed back, and when he did, he started exposing something way bigger than just him versus a jewelry store. We're talking about a system, a whole playbook that's been used on rappers for years, using their image, their influence, their clout as free promotion, then switching sides the second a lawsuit becomes more profitable. Yo, stay with me on this, because by the end of this video, you're gonna see exactly how Icebox really runs their business and why this situation with Young Thug wasn't just about unpaid jewelry. It was a perfect example of how the game really works behind the scenes. Now, before we break everything down, let me keep it real with y'all. This ain't just a rapper didn't pay his bill type of story. If that's what you thought, yeah, it goes way deeper than that. Back when this first hit in 2018, a lot of people ran with the same narrative. They said Young Thug was just wilding with money, just another artist living above his means. That's the easy take. That's the surface level thinking. And honestly, that's exactly the image Icebox wanted out there. But hold up before you run with that, because this wasn't just Thug being careless. The truth is, Icebox built its whole model around this exact move. Take the jewelry now, pay later. And they knew exactly who they were dealing with when they made that offer to one of Atlanta's hottest artists. This wasn't random. This was calculated, a business play. So the real question becomes, who actually played it better? Now here's where it gets really interesting. So check this out. For those who don't really follow the Atlanta jewelry scene like that, Icebox is not just any shop. They're a major name, one of the most recognized jewelers in hip-hop culture, and they're located right on Peachtree Road in Buckhead. That's Atlanta's upscale side. And listen, this is the part people overlook. They built their entire brand by targeting rappers, athletes, and celebrities on purpose. They're not K-jewelers. They're not some random mall stand. They know exactly who walks through their doors, and more importantly, they know exactly how to turn those people into business leverage. Now hold up, because in the jewelry world, this isn't new. This kind of play has been around for decades. Jewelers trying to break into the celebrity lane will hand over pieces on what's basically a pay-later setup. You take the jewelry, you wear it outside, you post it online, and all that visibility, that's real money for the jeweler. Every time an artist with millions of followers shows off a chain tied to Icebox, that's free promo. We're talking marketing value that could easily hit 6 figures. So on the surface, it looks like a win-win. The artist gets to flex,
the jeweler gets exposure, and eventually the bill gets handled. That's the clean version of the story. But hold up, it goes deeper than just a simple buy now, pay later situation. Let me walk y'all through this step by step, because the timeline matters here. May 2017, that's when Young Thug starts doing business with Icebox. And let's not act like he was some up-and-coming nobody at that time. He was already one of the biggest names moving in Atlanta. YSL was active, major features on deck. He was a whole cultural wave. So when Young Thug steps into your store picking pieces, that's not just a sale, that's a walking promotion. Every piece he wears is about to be seen by millions, and trust me, Icebox knew exactly what that meant. Between May 2017 and May 2018, across 4 different visits, Young Thug walked out with some serious pieces. A $44,000 Rolex Sky Dweller, a $20,000 Cartier bracelet, a $10,000 Cartier Love bracelet iced out with diamonds, and a custom $30,000 Miami Cuban Link diamond wallet chain with a rose gold clasp. That's over $200,000 in jewelry, gone, out the door, with no full upfront payment. Now real talk, how does that even happen? How does any store let someone walk off with $200K worth of product on a promise? Because that's not normal business. Try that at a car dealership and see what happens. They're not handing you keys to a $200,000 car off vibes. So what made Icebox move differently? That's where things get interesting, because later on, Young Thug's legal team would call this a predatory setup. And yeah, we're getting to that. Now, to be fair, let's not ignore this part. Young Thug did start making payments. Over that same period, he paid about $95,000 toward the total. That's not small. That's nearly half of a $210,000 tab. But here's where everything shifted. He stopped. The payments slowed down. Then they completely dried up. At that point, he had paid less than half of what he owed, and the remaining balance sitting there, about $115,000. So when Icebox tried to collect, they said they got nothing. No reply from Thug, no response from his team, just silence. On October 16, 2018, Icebox's lawyer sent a formal demand letter to his last known address. They gave him 30 days, either pay up or at least come talk about it. The attorney even made it clear publicly, if he didn't respond within 30 days, they were filing suit. And according to reports, Thug never answered. So November 2018, just weeks after he got out of DeKalb County Jail on a drug-related case, Icebox made their move. They filed a lawsuit in Fulton County Superior Court, and they didn't just want the $115,000 balance, they added $250,000 in punitive damages on top, bringing the total demand to $365,000. And then, boom, they took it public. That right there told everybody this wasn't just some quiet attempt to collect a debt. This was bigger than that. This was a message. Now hold up, because this is where everything flips. Young Thug didn't just sit back and accept the lawsuit. His legal team came swinging with a counteraction. And honestly, it was one of the boldest moves you'll see in a situation like this, because what they laid out changed the entire narrative. It turned this from a simple money dispute into something way deeper. According to Young Thug's side, Icebox wasn't just doing business, they were running what they called a predatory setup. Now let me break that down so it really hits. Based on their filings, here's what they claim actually went down. Icebox didn't just sit back and let Thug take jewelry on his own. They went after him, repeatedly, over months, encouraging him to take pieces, even pushing him to walk out with jewelry without paying up front. They reassured him that the terms would be easy, flexible,
that everything could be figured out later. So according to Thug, Icebox basically made it comfortable, put expensive pieces in his hands, no pressure up front, made it sound like everything was smooth. Then once that balance stacked up, that's when the tone changed. Suddenly, it was strict deadlines, legal threats, and eventually a lawsuit. Now ask yourself, why would a business move like that? Here's where it gets interesting. Think about it from Icebox's perspective. If Young Thug is outside for a whole year wearing your jewelry, posting it to millions, showing up in videos, getting photographed at events, what is that really worth? At his peak in 2017 and 2018, Thug had massive reach, tens of millions of followers, constant media attention. You can't just buy that level of exposure. No ad campaign can replicate that. So Thug's argument was simple but powerful. Icebox already got paid, just not in cash. They got months of high-level promotion from one of the biggest names in hip-hop. And then when it came time to settle the bill, they flipped it into a legal play. Because now a $365,000 lawsuit becomes its own headline, its own marketing wave. And his legal team didn't stop there. They also pointed out that Icebox was still using Thug's image, posting his photos, promoting their brand with his likeness, even after filing the lawsuit. And that right there, that's a whole separate legal issue. Using someone's name and image without permission to sell products is serious, and Thug's team made sure to call that out. But listen, this isn't just about Young Thug versus Icebox. This is about a pattern, something that's been happening in the jewelry game for years, and whether he meant to or not, Thug put a spotlight on it. Now, for those who don't fully get how this relationship works, let me explain the business side. High-end jewelers trying to break into hip-hop have a problem. The artists who actually move culture, they don't need you. They've got options. Every jeweler in the country wants a Young Thug, a Lil Baby, a Future. So what do stores do to get their attention? They make it easy. Take it now, pay later, and make sure you're seen wearing it. That's the deal. But the issue comes when it's time to talk money. Because here's the truth nobody really says out loud. Some of these businesses make more off the controversy than the sale itself. When Icebox sued Young Thug for $365,000 and made it public, their name went everywhere. Every blog, every headline, every conversation. That kind of exposure, that's worth millions. So in a way, the lawsuit becomes marketing. And here's the wild part. Young Thug wasn't the first, not even close. Let me introduce you to Exhibit A, Soulja Boy. Yeah, Soulja Boy, the same one who shook the culture with Crank That back in 2007. He publicly said he was the first rapper shopping at Icebox. He helped put them on the map before it became the go-to spot. And there's truth to that. Even Icebox has admitted Soulja Boy was one of their earliest big-name clients. But here's the part Soulja probably didn't clock while he was helping build Icebox's name. He was also building up a bill. Back in October 2011, Soulja Boy racked up purchases totaling $45,144 at the store. Then he circled back, bought more pieces, and even requested repairs that added another $15,726. That tab just kept climbing. Then the payment stopped. And by 2013, just 2 years later, Icebox hit him with a lawsuit in Fulton County State Court for over $60,000 in unpaid debt. Now fast forward, 2021 hits, Soulja Boy jumps online with a viral tweet bragging about being the first rapper shopping at Icebox. You can tell he expected some kind of respect for that. But listen to this. Icebox responded through TMZ saying that the tweet meant nothing to them. Why? Because that same 2013 lawsuit was still open 8 years later. And here's where it gets wild. That original $60,000 debt had grown to nearly $200,000 with interest and fees. A judge had already ruled in Icebox's favor. They even had lawyers lined up trying to collect the money. And when those lawyers went looking for funds in Soulja Boy's accounts, they reportedly found less than $10,000.
Now really think about that. A rapper who says he helped put the store on the map ends up owing them $200K a decade later and couldn't even cover it? That right there shows you how these pay-later deals can spiral when things go wrong. The streets have been whispering about this for years, but most rappers just pay and stay quiet. Because let's be honest, fighting a jeweler in court isn't a good look publicly. What made Young Thug different is that he didn't stay quiet. He pushed back, and he put that predatory practice claim on record. Soulja took the L in silence. Thug turned it into a conversation. Now, real talk. Both sides have arguments here. From Icebox's perspective, Young Thug took around $210,000 in jewelry. He paid less than half. The rest sat unpaid for months, and when they reached out, they got no response. At the end of the day, a debt is a debt. They've got receipts, invoices, documentation. That's a real business complaint. But from Thug's side, it hits different. If you're a jeweler willingly putting six-figure worth of jewelry in someone's hands with no upfront payment, that's not normal retail. That's strategy. That's marketing. And if part of that strategy is betting on celebrities falling behind, then flipping it into a lawsuit for attention, that's a whole different game. And yeah, that deserves to be questioned. Let that sink in. The lawsuit itself can become the product. When headlines read Icebox sues Young Thug for $365,000, that's marketing you can't buy. It builds their brand instantly. It tells the world even top-tier rappers are running up tabs with them. It creates exclusivity. Like their jewelry is so in demand, people go into six-figure debt just to wear it. Now here's where things take another turn. August 2019, the lawsuit disappears. Fulton County court records confirmed it. Dismissed. No explanation, no statements, no press rollout. Just gone. So what happened? There are really only two options. Either Thug quietly paid what was owed,
or both sides reached a private deal behind closed doors. And let's be real, that second option sounds way more likely, because neither side had to admit fault that way. But even though the case was dropped, the conversation didn't go anywhere. What did Young Thug's legal team put on record? That stayed. The whole predatory business practice angle, the claims about using his image without permission. Even without a trial, those points hit the industry, and people paid attention. Because at its core, this story isn't just about unpaid jewelry. It's about the relationship between hip-hop and the businesses around it. The real question isn't just did Thug owe the money, because yeah, by his own side he did. The bigger question is why a business model even exists where artists can walk out with six-figure pieces and settle later. And once you answer that, you start to understand how money really moves in this culture, way beyond what you see on Instagram. Young Thug had the platform and the legal backing to challenge it. Most artists don't. Most just pay up and move on, because fighting it publicly can cost more in reputation than it saves financially. But Thug, he put it on record. He named the play. He explained how it works, and he forced Icebox to defend it in legal documents. And that right there matters for every artist who's ever been told, take it now, we'll figure it out later. Now, I need to hear from y'all. Was Young Thug wrong for not paying, or was this a setup designed to trap artists and cash out later? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. I want both sides. And if you want more breakdowns on how the industry really operates behind the scenes, tap into the video on your screen. Because trust me, this is just one way the game plays artists who aren't paying attention.